We are live, the SMT Podcast, November 12th, 2021. I got Dennis. What's up, Broham?
Not too much. Just glad to be part of the show.
We literally have the green screen going on because there were some troubles with the lighting, but no worries. Dennis compensated with the new hat, you know? Yeah, we see the shadow a little bit. It's no big deal. It's good to have you on the show, man. Thanks for coming through. We're going to be talking about the C-band situation a little bit. We'll clear up a couple of things. I'm sure some people out there have questions. Like I was saying backstage, Dennis, I did speak to the Bearded Dragon. I really only like to talk to two people when it comes to engineering things. I like to speak to those that study the engineering, and I like to speak to those that are in the engineering. So that would be the Bearded Dragon, and it would be Zero Cool RF. So those are my guys. I've kind of already chatted with them on these matters. I think I now have a pretty good idea of what's been going on behind the scenes, what's likely going to play out, and who's responsible for these things. So we're always looking for who's culpable and whose fault it is and all that. So I got those answers, and I think between the two of us we can also do some predictions of when we think we'll see it, how it's going to be deployed, the circumstances, the scenarios of how they can actually pull it off and still avoid the planes. Because really that's what it's going to boil down to, Dennis. We don't want to see planes crashing, right? So, and I was reading Monica Alvin's article on fiercewireless.com. She's one of my favorite writers. She speaks to the right people. You don't have to know everything in this world. I think a lot of people think you have to know it all. You don't. You need to know the people that know those things, so you need to know the experts. So if in the case of Monica, she's she's an author in telco, she's an editor of a very trusted, high profile telco website, right? And they post articles, and they've got a lot there, and she just knows the right people. I think she speaks to the right people. So she was saying that she was speaking to, I think it was a retired aviation expert, somebody who was in the industry, and she asked the perfect questions and she got the best answers. So we'll talk about that article and those components, and then I want to give an update on the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And man, I freaking love that phone. What a great, amazing phone. It is my favorite Android of the year. I know the S21 Ultra is a great, powerful phone, but Galaxies aren't for everyone, so I think that's where this phone slides in, but if somebody wants raw power, I will admit that I think the S21 Ultra is the way to go, but it's right there. It's right there. So if we get some time at the end to discuss that and some other things, we'll get to it.
Sounds good.
Let's get things started. Baby Yoda, appreciate you for coming through. Ashay, glad to have you as well. Steven is here. We got Big Barry. MS is in the house. There's the homie, the Bearded Dragon. We got Sebi. We got Hector. And we got the Running Flame here in the flesh. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming through. Mark is in the house. Appreciate you as well. Alex got us started off here with our first super chat. Big Al, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Reminds me before I forget, I want to give a big shout out to Alex. I don't think it's this Alex. I think it's a different Alex, for the Venmo donation. Thank you for that. We appreciate it very much. For anybody who's donated recently, thank you. You guys are going above and beyond supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Your kindness and generosity is appreciated. Also, Billy sent a PayPal donation, so big thank you to him as well. And Big Pat is here. We got Technoid. Big Term is in the house. John with a super chat. Thank you, John. Say it with me now. Yeah. I got to get a recording of it so I could just hit it on stream.
You need a soundboard, Sneed.
You know what I need? I need like a DJ. Like a moderator DJ to like run all the sounds and do all that,
True, but I'm thinking like a soundboard, so that way with like when let's just say we talk about some unfortunate news, you can get a little womp womp or a yeah for something good,
Yeah. What's up, Jason? Barry, how are you, my friend? Thanks for stopping by. Barry, I know you got like double duty. There's other live streams going on, so I appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, Mark, always, man. Always coming through and helping out and supporting. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Where's Siova? Where is he? Siova, where are you? That's right, man. Siova's got the best live streams. All right, Dennis. I think what we'll do is we'll go over to that article, the fiercewireless.com article, and we'll look at some of those components to that story. And for those of you that haven't watched the video that I just dropped, then a lot of this will be new. And then for some of you that have already seen it, we might be going over some of those things again here to get people caught up. Big shout out to Tim. Thanks for coming through and hanging out tonight. Barry, my brother, can't stay long, but we appreciate you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Barry. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks for your support. Going to optimize your home survey site for you once. Oh my God. Please. Can I get anything other than 5 megahertz of band 12? Please.
Can we also take a look at Dennis's home serving site?
Yeah, can we help out Dennis too, dog?
Band 66 and band 12 with no backhaul.
Jeez, that's gonna need more than optimization. That one's gonna need Jesus. Seriously. What's up, AZ Tech? What's going on? Akivo, how you doing? Good to have you.
Sneed, not to get too sidetracked, but I just want to mention something real quick. This was not planned, but I had an opportunity just to see how big a difference N41 makes. So at the home office, I put a thing up on Twitter, getting some impressive speed results. Well,
I did see some of those pictures, right?
Well, my iPhone 12 loves to lock on to band 71 when it first, activates the eSIM profile.
Mm-hmm.
Take a guess what normal, not ultra wideband 5G pulled on that same site. Just take a guess. What kind of speed do you think I got?
100 down. 150?
Less. I'm talking, this is not N41 Sneed. We're talking just, normal band 66.
18 megs, 15 megs.
10 megs.
10 megs, man. Wow. Kind of
N41 made it so that I was pulling that 300, 400, 500 that you were seeing. That's the kind of difference it made. So
those dedicated channels, man. They probably got 100 megahertz on that N41 channel.
They do. There's 100 megahertz N41, 15 of band 66, 15 of band 2. And then, of course, you always laugh, but for whatever reason, they have band 71 on 5 megahertz of LT and 5 megahertz on 5G standalone.
Oh, the standalone 5G is another issue. Oh, my goodness. What a pointless endeavor. Lavendi, appreciate you. Thanks for coming through. It's N41 time. Absolutely. What's up, Gamer Johnny? Appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Big Terms got a band 66 5 megahertz on AT&T. Why is it so little? Don't they own 15 over there or something?
I think they have 20 deployed here for band 66 on AT&T.
Right. Anyways. All right, so here's the story. We got the FCC, who has cleared, they cleared C-band for a December 5th launch. If the carriers wanted to go ahead and launch it at the time, they could. The carriers paid additional dollars. I think it was $8 billion to clear A block early, which I think it had to be done in June or July. And they did. They met the time frame. So the FCC's like, all right, cool. It's repacked, ready to go. December 5th. Here comes the FAA and the aviation industry saying, we got interference concerns. You can't do this. AT&T and Verizon voluntarily pushed the launch date to January, even though they never had an official launch date. Internally, they have launch dates, but they have not publicized a specific date. So this whole thing, what it's boiling down to, ladies and gents, is that there are legitimate interference concerns, but it's because of the equipment. The altimeters that the airplanes are running are very old. It's really archaic technology. We're talking about tech from the 70s. I was born in 1984, dog. You know what I'm saying? This crap is older than me. This crap is as old as your Uncle Steve. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look at it that way. How old's your Uncle Steve? Do you have a Steve as an uncle?
No, I was just thinking 19. I was trying to do the years in my head. We're talking 50 years old. Is that?
Yeah, 50 plus. Yeah. So this is old gear that they don't want to have to upgrade, and they don't have to pony up the money to do it because everything's been fine up to this point. They haven't had somebody needing to use the frequencies in the terrestrial realm, right? Because previously it was satellite, so it was up in the sky where they didn't need the altimeters running. They only need them when they launch and when they land, right? Because the radar is used to gauge distance to the ground, right? So this is terrible, okay? The thing is this. The carriers have the back, or carriers, they have the support of the FCC. $81 billion spent, $11 billion on repack, accelerated repack. It's been proven that there's no interference risk if the altimeters are properly working. The only risk is from old altimeters, which are unable to filter the frequencies that neighbor the 4.2 to 4.4 gigahertz of the radar. So it's a pretty simple solution. The altimeters have to be upgraded, either retrofitted with filters or completely replaced with newer gear. Now, the aviation industry is compelled to complain and say we're not ready. This has been going on for 2 to 3 years. Satellite users have been adding filters to their dishes for 2 years. So satellite operators are ready, and they're good. So an entire satellite industry is ready, but airplanes are not. The most dangerous thing we could be talking about right now is complete negligence, right? I'm not going to get in a plane until an airlines can prove to me that they have changed their altimeters while C-band is live. I'm not getting in a plane, unless their gear has been upgraded, because what's going to end up happening is, and this is just my proposal of how I think this is going to play out. I think the carriers are going to stay away from airports for the first 6 to 12 months of C-band launch. And after speaking with the Bearded Dragon and talking to Pete about this, I think it's about 10 miles away from airports because of the interference risk. So, and that aggravates me, Dennis, because I live within 10 miles of an airport. So I'm pissed. That means no C-band for me if it plays out that way. So I'm pretty pissed, dude.
I know I should be mad, but I'm really not. Like, if we look at the history of wireless deployments, there's always a reason for something to get delayed, right? Like, let's look back at Band 71, right, with T-Mobile, right? They had hell to pay when it came to actually being able to deploy it. Lots of delays. That's why there was tons of phases. That's why there's even areas now that are just now getting Band 71, right? Because they had to get people to repackage it, right? Same thing happened with AWS, right? There was delays, there was problems, there was issues. Same thing happened with Band 41 today around the border, right? So it doesn't surprise me that this happened. And I'm willing to bet something more along the lines of this happens. Either one option is A block, since it's not really that close, gets deployed like normal. They just don't start utilizing the rest of the actual spectrum that they purchased. So like maybe
that won't be cleared till 2023.
So then they should be fine.
They'll be in the sea, right?
So A block should be fine. Carriers should just be fine. It should be okay.
So the math on it, Dennis, is there's 220 megahertz of guard between, the 4.2 and the 3.9, right? So the guard that's in C-band, I think it's 500 megahertz total. 280 is going to operators. 220 is guard. But they're not using BC right away until 2023.
Right.
So that is still considered guard.
Right.
And that's, what is it, 100 megahertz? So it's 180 megahertz. It's literally 400 megahertz of guard for now.
So what I'm saying is I think what happens is carriers deploy things like they normally would for A block. All the while, these airlines are forced to refit their altimeters, like you said, with filters. Although I actually think, and here's a hot take, I think there's a good chance that some of these planes just get retired since air travel hasn't necessarily picked back up with all of everything that's going on with the pandemic. And the airlines find a way to maybe get some type of tax write-off for credit. So it's like a win-win-win across the board. They get paid by the government to do this. Carriers deploy what they're going to do. everything just kind of goes as normal, kind of, so to speak.
Well, when I was talking to the bearded dragon, I was asking him, Congress intervening, the regulation side of it, are they able to find some money to go ahead and pay for these retrofitted altimeters, getting the filters on there, the upgrades? And he said, yeah, the money's probably there. So that was one of the things we discussed, and I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. The problem is this, Dennis. How long does the process take?
Well,
they're going to meet on this.
Here's a better question: how many airplanes are, like, percentage wise? Like, how many airplanes are impacted?
It must be a lot. It must be. It's not even that. It's. I have no idea, man. That's a good question. But it must be enough because they're making a stink.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think about, like, right now flights are down. Like, the way I'm looking at it's like this. You know how the cruise liners right now, right? Like, the cruise lines, they've been sinking ships, they've been doing other things to get rid of stuff, right? I feel like these airlines, there might be a portion of them where they're just like, you know what, it's easier just to trash these things, because the life of an airplane isn't that long. Like, all things considered, like amount of miles that it can fly and stuff like that, it's not that long. Airplane companies tend to replace their airplanes quite frequently for fuel efficiency reasons and a host of other reasons, right? So it might just be like one of those things where, like, it pans out in such a way where maybe the government reimbursed them because they have money on the side, but also maybe it's advantageous to the airlines that they were going to do something along these lines anyway, and this is just that extra push. And maybe there might be other reasons why they're raising a stink outside of the odometers, like, not to get all like conspiracy theories or something like that, but like there might be other things behind the scenes, because it seems like a small issue to get so pissed over.
Yeah, but anytime you're going to have to pony up money in an industry that's not winning right now.
Like, right? I said, I know there's probably ways to write it off. Like, there has to be ways for you to write it off for like tax losses or something, so that it's not hurting them.
This is straight up just wasting of time, though. Like, this has been going on. The repack process has been going on since the auction finished. All right, the auction was a year ago, right? The problem is that AT&T and Verizon paid $8 billion additionally to accelerate the repack of A block, not to be told to delay it. That's really the issue. Is the FCC going to give the money back to AT&T and Verizon? Are they going to take the money away from the satellite providers on the repack? It's not going to happen. Who's going to give back $8 billion?
I wish they would.
Satellite operators are dying ducks. That was the biggest money they've made in 20 years. Literally in one transaction. It had nothing to do with them selling service.
Mark chimed in. He's
shutting down service.
Most planes replaced are around 18 years old. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say probably 20 years. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, look at some of them that are on the runway. They look like they're 15, 20 years old.
Average. I'm just looking up something. Average life of a plane.
Lavendi says 747s went into service in the 70s and are still being used today. They don't retire planes. I would think they would get at least 20 years of use, right? Because you got to get it like a return of investment. Don't you got to run it for a number of flights? Like,
so it could be up to 30 years, or it can endure about 35,000 pressurized cycles in flights, which is roughly 135,000 flight hours.
So I guess it depends the type of flights, right? Like international flights, domestic.
Basically, a domestic plane would last longer than an international plane, from the sounds of it.
Yeah. All right. I got a lot of people chiming in saying 18 to 20 years. All right, good. Good to know. We learn new stuff every day. I never really thought about it. I never thought, Dennis, we'd be talking about radar on airplanes. Yeah. This is crazy.
I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, really. I guess it's one of those situations where it's like, it is what it is. And the same token, too, at least for AT&T at the moment, I don't think it matters too much for them. Like, their network is performing pretty okay. T-Mobile's fine. And even Verizon, CBRS has been making a pretty huge improvement, as seen in your test results. And then they got millimeter wave to keep deploying.
But they want to get their fixed wireless access going, and they can only scale that with C-band. They need a new channel. They need new spectrum. It can't be on LTE. It's got to be a dedicated 5G channel. And This is what they spent their money on. It's really hard to stomach that, Dennis. If you look at what Verizon is spending on just A block, and then to be told you can't run it, that's a no-go. I mean, I'd return it.
Verizon could just deploy it. I mean, like we said, it's all good faith. It's just the carriers playing nice because they want to save public face, right? It wouldn't look good if an article goes up about how Verizon didn't care about the airlines, but I don't know.
I think Verizon should troll the FAA.
Just deploy it.
I just keep it 10 miles away from the airports and just don't even say anything. Don't all of a sudden people are just going about their business on their day, and they all of a sudden they're getting like 800 megabits on an ultra wideband connection. You're like, I don't see no nodes out here. What is this? Right?
I mean, they could. There's nothing stopping them. Like,
I'm pissed, man. I'm within 10 miles of an airport.
I mean, I am too. You know where I live. You see where I live.
You're within 5 miles of an airport?
I think it's 8, but
8 miles. Yeah, I'm somewhere around there too, man. I'm pissed. Don't risk it, Sebi.
I don't know. I just, like I said, delays when it comes to spectrum acquisitions and repurposes are something that are kind of the norm based off of history. So my level of frustration is low, and my level of frustration is also low because, at least in my market, AT&T is performing fantastically. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know C-band would make a difference, but like, it's already fantastic. And then Verizon, yeah, they could use it because, as I mentioned, it's not like they're getting AT&T or T-Mobile speeds, but it's also performing just fine. I don't know. I want it because it's for the good of the network, but like, what's the difference of a few more months going to make? You know what I mean?
So let me read you guys this explanation here. C-band operates from 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz. The altimeters on the planes is 4.2 to 4.4. So that's more than 200 megahertz away from C-band. A man by the name of, what is this guy's name? Dennis Roberson, president and CEO of Roberson and Associates. He's been chair of the FCC's Technological Advisory Council for the past 8 years. So this is what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He says that's plenty of guard. He says FM radio bands, the whole thing is 20 megahertz. So that gives you perspective. If the entire FM band is 20 megahertz, this is 10 times that, to give you guys how much space. And look how hard it is. Like, it's so easy to separate, like 92.3.
Yeah.
You don't hear that on 92.5.
Nope.
Right? You get what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of separation.
I just feel like there has to be a reason. Like, I don't know if there's more to it, but like, I don't know why. Like, what does the aviation industry get from?
Bro, I'm telling you, it's just they don't want to pay.
Yeah.
And I think the FAA, I think they have an axe to grind too. And I think this goes back to the Trump administration when they had their power taken away from them, and the oversight and the overview of the equipment. Because under the Trump administration, it was push 5G, get this out, deregulate, get this going. But that push disabled a lot of the regulatory bodies. And this is not a political show. I'm calling a spade a spade. This happened during the last 4 years, right? So we're seeing, and the same thing happened with the new FCC. They made new rules, right? Carriers can now very quickly deploy and upgrade 5G. And freaking homeowners are pissed. We see stories all the time. People coming out with their tinfoil hats. You're killing our children. Da 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 da. It's like, what the hell? These frequencies have been used for decades, but that's not going to stop people from tripping. So it's like, these things are not surprising. The politics of our country have put innovation up against it. You may want to innovate, but you can't when you have things standing in your way. I think this might be what's going on with the FAA. I think it might be.
I mean, if I was a carrier, this is what I would do, okay? I would just keep doing my upgrades like I would, put the equipment up, and just wait until it's, like, safe, and just flip a switch and be like, boom, it's lit up in 40 markets. Like while they're waiting and buying their time until this gets straightened out, just keep, when you go to a site, put all the equipment on there, and then don't turn it on until it's ready.
If the aviation industry is waiting for Verizon and AT&T to pay for their upgraded altimeters, it's not happening. They will not do that. They just paid $8 billion to accelerate the A block repack. They just paid $81 billion for the spectrum. They're not paying for your altimeters.
But the
No
government
way.
might.
No, but the government might. That is true. They could find the money. They could do that in an infrastructure bill. They could be like, yo, we got to take this money out of here. And we could say airplanes are infrastructure. Oh, no.
You know, Sneed, I'm going to say something that I'm sure is not going to surprise you. But if I was Dictator Dennis for a day, we wouldn't have private airlines. We would just buy the airlines at this point. We bailed them out a couple times. We just buy them, have one big state airline, and then just let the government replace all the equipment.
I'm actually against centralizing anything.
Even the airlines?
Even the airlines. I wish we had companies that just did things right. That's really where the issue lies, is that the companies never do the right thing. If every company was owned by a family, if every like that, see, if you look at the mom and pop stores, they always fight for your business. Family, if you could talk to the owner, it changes everything. Like, you can come to my dad's bakery and speak to the owner. The owner answers phones. If you have a complaint, they'll take it from you. They'll make it right for you. Bro, these big corporations, you don't know who's who. When you call, you speak to some lady in another country or some guy. There's no connection to the people and who they serve, right? A lot of onus should be on the companies to do the right thing. They just don't, right? Everything, the bottom line is always about money. How do we reduce? How do we spend less? How do we increase profits? It boils down to investors.
Well, if we look at the money, the airlines during the good times were using it for share purchase buyback to help shareholders increase the value of their stock, which is why when the pandemic hit, they needed the bailout because they didn't have the money.
But that's the problem, is the accountability, because all they care about is the bailouts, the money. I mean, come on, man. Look at telco. Like, look at these.
What I'm getting
CEOs.
at. What I'm getting at is that private companies are going to do things like that. It repeats itself over and over again, which is why they don't have the money now, like, to replace the altimeters, because they're still in pretty rough shape, right? So
yeah, but they haven't always been in rough shape. What have they been doing for 3 years? 5 years?
What I'm trying to get at is that private companies' motivations don't align with the good of necessarily the public. They don't have a reason to really do what you're talking about. Like, there's only 3 major airlines in the US: Southwest, Delta, and US Airlines. I guess you could talk about Spirit if you want, but I wouldn't consider them major.
They're smaller.
So, I mean, you have 3 competitors, right? They all roughly charge the same pricing. They all participate in roughly the same equally terrible behavior. The only thing that keeps them roughly accountable was regulations, which are quite limiting in comparison to other countries, right? I don't see them changing their behavior in any way. So if it doesn't work, why not have a publicly owned and operated thing? I mean, airlines are one of the most crucial pieces of infrastructure if you think about it. It's not just about traveling, like, for people, but think about all the packages that have to be, like, next day shipped and stuff like that, right?
What's up, Ricky? Good to see you, man.
I don't really have a strong opinion, though.
Me neither. I don't have a strong opinion on the whole thing. I think the carriers should work in good faith to just, as long as there's an agreement in place where they could say, okay, look, we're going to need to deploy the C-band by a certain time frame. You guys have known about this. You've lollygagged. Here's a date where we're going to go live. You need to get your equipment upgraded. All right, we'll stay away from the airports for now. Right? Stay away with it, 10 miles or whatever.
Part of me feels like a little bit of the blame is on the government for not forcing
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
the
where's
government,
the preparation? Yeah.
The government should have forced them to, like, if they knew this was going to be a problem 3 years ago, they should have started being like, hey, by this deadline, you need to do this. And if you don't, there'll be X amount of monetary fine imposed on you until you do, or something like that. But I don't know. It sucks. It's not good for consumers. It's not good for the economy, right? It's not good for anything. But
yeah,
I don't know.
There's Ivan, and this is what I was saying, is they'd have to stay away from the airports, man, because it would come back on them. They'd be like, yo, everything was cool until you launched C-band. What up, Suburban Beard? What's going on, bruh?
I want to change gears to a more positive and fun conversation. Let's
Let's
talk about
do
your
it.
let's talk about your Pixel 6 experience, man. I know you've been grinding
Oh
at the
my god.
bits.
Oh my god, bro. This phone, after all the problems that it had upon early launch, this phone is tremendous. Okay, I had two major issues in the early onsets. There were a couple of apps that were giving me hell. The YouTube app, which affected my live streaming, and the YouTube Studio app. Twitter was finicky too, so I have to call a spade a spade. Anytime those apps were running, anytime I was using those apps, the battery life was just a drain because it was closing and opening and closing and opening the apps, and it was just killing it. So the RAM management, the apps themselves, and the live streaming was atrocious. All right. Battery life was affected. The smooth operations of the UI and the you know the user experience, horrible, right? It was getting better every week for the last 3 weeks I've had it. I don't have any bugs right now with the YouTube app at all. I don't see any problems rendering and editing video. I couldn't do that the first week. It was like buffering. Every time I would try to make an edit, it would spin a wheel, take 3 seconds, and then it would do the cut and the edit. Now I'm doing it flawless, no problems. This thing, the only thing I got to do is tomorrow I'm going to do a live stream when I'm at the bakery. You guys are going to see me making bread. All right. I'm going to do a live stream. All right. I'll be making pita bread. Dude, I'm going to I think this is a go. For anybody who has had reservations about the phone because of the known issues, I think they're all worked out. I think the updates are done. I think the upgrades that they've sent to the phone fixed all of it. It's so amazing now. The battery life is really good. The camera is the best. The still photography is beautiful. The video does this weird, like the optical image stabilization and the electronic stabilization. It does this weird jelly thing, but like Pixels have always done it. So it still has that a little bit. Yeah.
Video on Android just in general isn't as good as iPhone. So,
but the Galaxy is beautiful for video. You know, like my S21 Plus was amazing. My 20 Plus was amazing. I feel like the Galaxies do video better than the Pixel.
I have the S20 Plus, but I can tell you, Sneed, the iPhone 12 does a way better job with
the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I have a 13. I have a 13 Pro and a 13 Pro Max, and the video's great. The 13 Pro Max has incredible battery life too. Those some serious phones, man.
But when you were doing the early testing at the Pixel, man, I know you were having problems connecting ultra capacity on T-Mobile. Was that
so? That was a carrier problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I reached out to T-Mobile and they told me there were 5G outages. Sites were going down for 5G, whether it was like optimizations or upgrades. You know, that's all they can tell you. You know, when you call customer care, you speak to a rep, they can see that work is being done in some way, shape, or form. So 5G ultra capacity was down for like 4 days straight. It came back on and I was connecting, you know, back to getting 3, 4, 5, 600 on those sites. Most of the sites are now pushing 100 megahertz. So we're seeing, 600, 700 pretty easy. Oh, I should probably talk about the root scores. Dennis, did you see my video on the root scores?
I saw your post. I didn't actually watch it yet.
Dude. So the half 2021 numbers, they got T-Mobile and Verizon tied for first on root scores.
For the whole country
for Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah, so they got it by the market. First time ever T-Mobile has ever been there that ranked that high.
I'm pulling up the root scores right now on my computer. I just want to see if they've done Pittsburgh yet. I don't think they have. Not yet. It doesn't look like.
I think I checked Pittsburgh. I don't think their numbers were up.
No, yeah, it's still just the first half.
So they may have actually finished the testing, but they haven't posted the results.
But I'm looking at it. Yeah, I see some pink dots. Spokane, Washington. That's a nice one. Isn't T-Mobile headquartered out in Seattle?
They are.
I can't believe they're not winning in their own market.
I think AT&T is the best there, aren't they?
Yeah, it's tied AT&T and Verizon this quarter.
Ironic. Yeah, I can tell you guys right now, nobody knows the cellular CLE like me. as much as I commend T-Mobile for their incredible improvements over the years, the reliability just isn't there here yet. No way.
I mean,
No
that
way.
just comes down to tower spacing, right? Like,
Pretty much. The problem is they're gonna, if they haven't already done it, they're taking down a lot of Sprint sites. That would have been the density they could have used, because T-Mobile and Sprint don't typically, they don't co-locate on the same site here. You know, like take for example Las Vegas, like Carlos's market. You always see like 4 racks of antennas and radios, like it's each carrier. Here it's not like that. You usually see 2 or 3 carriers. Sprint's kind of like doing their own thing.
A lot of times with Sprint, you would actually see side-by-side towers, one that has the band 41 on it exclusively, the other one that has band 25 and 26.
I do see that. See that, which is kind of stupid, in my opinion. But I mean, maybe they're looking at it like, okay, well, maybe this gives us a little bit more flexibility with where we're kind of directing the signal, right? So, but I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the engineering.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I could tell you guys right now, I still can't mobile live stream on T-Mobile. You know, that's a big thing for me. I have to be able to mobile live stream.
See, the problem with T-Mobile, okay, is, and we can say it's my market thing if we want, but I feel like I've traveled around enough to have a good idea. T-Mobile's performance literally depends on a legit cell by cell basis. It's not like area by area basis. I'm talking cell site from cell site. Like legit, the tower that I'm connected to that's by my office, great performance. If I go not even a mile down the road and force a connection onto the next tower over, drastically worse performance. And this is like within like the same like 5-mile circumference kind of deal, right? Like it's not like we're talking like leaps and bound movement. And the basics that no one talks about, call quality and text messaging, are things that are probably the worst performing on T-Mobile.
See, I've already adjusted to that. Like I don't use my, I just don't use my T-Mobile phone for those things anymore. You know, I'm not going to use it while I'm mobile on a call. I'm not going to use it at home. You know, I'm just like, I'm at work, I'll use it because the tower is behind the school. Like the tower is literally on a light. It's on the football stadium light, dude. It's literally, so I'm good. You know, but I don't take calls at work. So like sometimes I'll put on a podcast, sometimes I'll put on like YouTube TV while I'm eating lunch. You know, I'll watch a couple of videos. I'll you know, tune into you guys when you do your show. That's really it. I'm not going to try to live stream. I'm not going to try to do anything that's going to be risky from site to site because I know that there's risk.
Well, what I'm getting at with this, without being long-winded, is the T-Mobile of today in some aspects reminds me of the T-Mobile from 2013. And by that, I mean, when T-Mobile was first deploying LT, because they had so few customers and because no one had like LT like branded phones for T-Mobile, the performance was magnificent, right? And that's what N41 reminds me of. It's magnificent. But if it's not on N41, then the rest of the network just performs poorly. Like, unlike 2013, at least I'm getting bars on phones in places that I wouldn't otherwise get. But from a data throughput standpoint, it's not what I would consider to be usable speeds. And I don't know what it is with how they're doing things, but for whatever reason, call quality is not reliable. It disconnects frequently. A lot of times what happens is I'll talk to someone, like I'll be able to hear them, but I sound like robo garbage to them whenever I speak with them. And as far as text messaging goes, it is very frequent that texting fails, just straight up fails to send, or duplicate text messages get sent, which I get SMS is like old as a standard. But I think part of the issue is as well is I think RCS just isn't playing nicely on T-Mobile. Like however they have it done, it just acts funny. So that's been my general experience.
So Dennis, I want to get you my T-Mobile number so we could start doing some test calls and some text messages.
Okay.
I want to see if we can produce this because, dude, I'm telling you, I just don't use that line for those things anymore. Like I stopped trying because the service at my house is so bad. I mean, if I'm not at work, I'm here, right? So like, and then my personal lines, I have an AT&T line and I have a Verizon line.
Isaiah's chiming in. He says he gets duplicate texts with people who text him from T-Mobile. Yeah.
Okay, so then that's like a known thing. Other people are reporting it.
MMS
Okay,
is also broken.
so Suburban Beard absolutely like lives like 2 or 3 miles from me, if that. Like he's so close. Like the next cell site over serves him. It's like 2-3 miles from where I live. He is very happy with his service. Right? It goes to show you that because you spend so much time in a specific location like where you live. See, like I'm telling you guys, when I'm at work, T-Mobile's fantastic. It has N71, it has 66, it has band 2, it has band 12. Like you're covered. The site is right there. And my room is by a window. You know, I got windows the whole side of the room. I'm good. But once I leave, it's site to site basis. And if the tower sites are far, I get bad handoffs.
Well, I'll just say this, need for a little bit more scope. That site that I was preaching about that's by my office that I have to report to, like, it's not that far away from the other site that I was telling you about. Like, literally, it's more so along the lines of like one side of the building gets this location's connecting, and the other side of the building gets this tower. If you get what I'm saying, like that's how close these sites are, and the performance varies drastically depending on which one you get. In the same way, when we looked at my house, there was 2 cell sites, one that had the band 71 and the band 66 on it, the other one that was band 66 and 12 only. Remember, depending on which cell site I get, the performance is drastically different.
Yeah.
From a latency standpoint. You don't have that on AT&T or Verizon. In fact, Verizon specifically, the way if you ever look at like how they have their towers placed, it looks almost like a 3-leaf clover. Like there's a little bit of overlap between the leaves, so everything kind of pans out. With T-Mobile, the way I would describe it, it's almost like a donut. There's a bunch of cell sites on the round and this like hole in the middle where just there's like no service or service is terrible. That's been my experience with tower placement. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah. Big shout out to Pete Sneed. Get duplicate text from me. I don't.
Well, Peter lives next to Stetson, and Stetson has been blessed by the T-Mobile gods. So
I think Pete's pretty close to an N41 set. I know he picks up the 600 megahertz.
Sebastian
Hey,
asked
what's
me
up,
if I did
Kazi?
networking ticket. I haven't called them. No, I mean,
dude, I put in network tickets. Nothing happens, man. You gotta have juice or something. I don't know. Ricky chiming in with the deception 5G.
I don't think it's fake 5G. I mean,
So,
there's
how
more
about
to
this,
5G
Dennis?
capacity.
How about this? In my garage with the door open, I have 0 signal. House okay, but they also gave me a free repeater. Sheesh. So that goes to show you, and he might be 1.5 miles from the site. I'm pretty sure about 1.5 miles. And that's a newly upgraded site. No N41, but it's pretty upgraded. Seems to be people with an iPhone get the duplicate text when it comes from a T-Mobile phone. Yeah, Pete's got the juice. I don't have that kind of juice. they move heaven and earth for Pete at T-Mobile for whatever reason, dude. He calls and stuff happens. Yep. Man, so I've used the Pixel with the T-Mobile SIM for a couple of weeks. It's a go. This is good. It's good on the T-Mobile network. I recommend. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the AT&T SIM in here or the FirstNet SIM. That's going to be my next test because the first line I put on here was Verizon. Oh, geez, Ricky. Come on, man. RFK Tech, $50 super chat. Ricky, you didn't have to, man. You're going way above and beyond. Not necessary, but thank you for that. He said T-Mobile sucks. Fake 5G, fake maps. That's what he said, Dennis.
I mean, I'm not gonna like defend them. Like, I don't want to be too hard on them. I know they're good in some markets, but like, my point is that like with a carrier, generally speaking, like AT&T, I can be like, yo, you're gonna be decent in this area. I don't have to be like, yo, it depends on what block you're standing on. It's like it's good in Pittsburgh, right? T-Mobile, I can't even say it's good in Robinson. It's just it might be good when you're at the bakery, but it's not good here. Like it's literally on a house by house basis. That's my T-Mobile experience. So But
Thanks, Ricky. Appreciate
I
it.
wanna chime off the T-Mobile hate for a moment. Since we were talking about outages earlier when I asked you about your pixel testing, I wanted to ask you, man, have you been following along with the Comcast outage?
What's the business with the outage, man? I saw that in my Google feed, my Google News feed.
Basically, Comcast a few days ago had a nationwide outage that impacted all of their core services, so internet, TV, landline, and it also
Wow.
impacted their website. And when we were doing our stream yesterday, their website was still acting wonky. We couldn't go to the shop to look at internet offers. And apparently on the day of the outage as well is impacting their support chat as well. It's like if you want to talk to their support. I have no clue if it's properly fixed. I don't have Comcast anymore. I canceled it, but I just wanted to ask if you were following along with it, if you had any thoughts.
I saw the thing pop up in my news feed. I saw that it was national, so I knew it was a big scale outage. How long were they down for? Do we get an exact time? Was it like beyond 24 hours?
I think so.
Sheesh.
I'm looking it up right now. I don't even know if it's resolved yet.
Really? Because they serve a lot of people. How many customers do they have?
I want to say it's something like 38 million or something. Let me see. Comcast subscribers.
That's a big company.
This data is a little bit old, but 20.4 million reported in 2020.
They have a lot of customers, and they've been adding a lot too for the last couple of years. All right, so are they still? Do they still do the outage tracker? Still, is that like a thing?
I know they have a thing when you're a customer with them, but
so this goes back 3 days.
Yes.
Okay, this was reported by like Ars Technica, Fierce, NBC picked up the story. Internet, TV, and phone service across the entire country. Has anybody done a follow-up on this? Because everything I'm seeing is from 3 days ago.
Not that I'm aware. I was just smiling a little bit because I found an article that had a comment from Roger Etner. He said, regardless, it provides an opening for fiber players to hammer home the idea that their products are superior to cable.
He ain't lying. He is not lying. They could totally just rain on the cable parade. You know, fiber never goes down. Fiber is the ultimate. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from the talks,
it says here service was restored on Thursday, 7 p.m.
This Thursday?
Yeah, like yesterday in the evening.
Okay, so that would mean that it lasted for like 72 hours. The outage.
2 days.
The outage was reported on Tuesday.
The outage was reported 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And then they're saying that it was restored yesterday. That would be like 2 full days.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's still a long time.
Outage was at 10:40 a.m. on Tuesday. So that would have been all day Tuesday, basically.
Right.
Right. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and then restored Thursday evening. So it's basically 3 work days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. I mean,
Major.
That's not timely. Because here's the thing, too. Just like when Facebook had their outage, Comcast outage impacted other things outside of just Comcast. Think about all the cell sites that they provide backhaul to for the carriers.
They do serve those sites, right? They run fiber to these tower sites.
Right.
But don't they have backup fiber? They don't do microwave, not all the sites, right? So like, yeah, there's definitely going to be outages.
I mean, even if there was, there's still the fact that Comcast is to a certain extent like a fiber backbone in some states. So if they're having an outage, anything that has to go over that route for traffic can no longer go over it, which means that you're going to have either one of two things happens. One, your latency and other things like that is going to be much higher because it's taking a less optimized route. Or two, if your router or whatever isn't figuring out that path is no longer viable, you're going to get DNS issues and timeouts.
Man, that's a rough outage. That's a long time.
What I'm more curious about is what actually caused it. That's what I want to know.
I don't see anything.
That's the thing. I want to know what they find that actually caused it, because I tried to rack my brain on what would cause a massive outage like that. And I had a few theories, but like, I would love to know what caused it. And I would love for these two things to happen, which is a pipe dream. But one is I hope that Comcast takes measures to basically invest in their network to make it more robust and resilient so something like this doesn't happen again. And two is that even though this didn't impact all of its competitors, I would love it if competing ISPs also looked at this and decided to invest in their networks and make it more robust and resilient, because it wasn't that long ago that we talked about AT&T having a major outage because that dude attacked that CO, if you remember. I think that was this year, actually, wasn't it?
Was it Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they, like, quarterly, they've been adding tons of customers.
I mean, they're gonna be fine. They're a glorified monopoly for the vast majority of Americans. Like, I'm not saying they're gonna lose customers because of it, but still sucks.
You want to take this one, Dennis? You want to take the super chat for me?
Sure.
From Anwar for $4.99 super chat. Thank you.
This is late, but I gotta agree. Try T-Mobile Magenta Max with his iPhone 12 from Minnesota to Montana for a few months ago. Absolute garbage. Well, first off, I'm sad that it was garbage for you. I'm sure that made that trip very painful.
Right.
But yeah, T-Mobile, especially out in that Midwesterish area, is definitely very weak. In fact, in the Midwest, I think the only carriers that are really good out in the Midwest are probably Verizon and maybe AT&T. Like Midwest,
AT&T with FirstNet, they've expanded their network a lot in those areas where they've lacked for decades.
I still think a lot of the carriers outside of Verizon all rely on roaming agreements out there, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ever seen Carlos when he's out in the middle of the desert in Nevada. It's ComNet. It's all these regional providers. Everybody's roaming. I mean, who's going to put cell towers in the middle of the desert, right?
AT&T, probably.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Anwar.
I think AT&T has a couple cell sites where they cover less than 100 people.
U.S. Cellular's got some coverage out in the Midwest. That's true. What else is happening in telco news?
What else is helping? Dennis? What else is happening? Fios is expanding, which I know you reported on.
What do you think of that rate? 400 to 600,000 homes per year.
That's a healthy rate.
That's a healthy rate. Okay, so they haven't reported anything, but it's good to know that Fios is not dead, because remember they sold to Frontier, right? So it was California, Texas, was it Florida? What was the third? I'm not sure. I think it was 3 major states.
But it's a healthy rate. I'm glad they're expanding. I thought they were dead, although it doesn't seem like they're expanding into states that they weren't otherwise in. The expansions seem to be in areas where they already had a footprint to a certain extent.
And it's also new builds. So if you're like moving to a place where there previously was no development, Fios is coming in like, yeah, we'll do fiber here and we'll rent it to the homes. And it's gigabit fiber. So they're going to give you, what do they do? Is like 940 by 940 or something?
940 by 880.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
But can I say something that I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for?
Dennis, you always say that and nobody gives you hate. So stop it.
I honestly wish that Verizon would just sell off their actual home internet business to somebody else.
Dang. What do you want to run their business, man?
Well, you already know the answer. I'd rather be publicly owned and not privatized.
Can't do that in Ohio. They just made it illegal.
But since that's not a real option, I would love it if they sold it to Google. Because do you want to know the reason why? I'm going to give you 3 reasons. Ready?
Right,
1, Fios has the worst peering agreements of any ISP I've ever utilized. 2, sorry, go ahead. You had a question?
I was going to say, you have a problem running your Fios for your job, right?
For the old job, yes. For the new one, no. But
okay, but there was something about the way that your Fios was operating that was making your life hell.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the problem.
But it's peering agreements. So peering agreements, i.e. the path that data needs to take to get to like a service, say Netflix, for example. Fios uses a really crappy path, which causes latency and speeds to be crap. But secondarily, Fios straight up blacklist various IP addresses from various I can't think of, I always blank on the name, but it's like DDoS Guard is one of the providers that provides IP addresses, and like, they provide protection for different companies. It's commonly used by some of the pirating sites, but other real legitimate businesses use it, helps prevent against DDoS attacks.
Sure, right.
Fios just blacklist all IP addresses that use that.
So you can't effectively do what you got to do.
You can't connect to them if they use that domain, correct? You'd have to use a VPN. So that's my second reason. It's basically censorship. It breaks net neutrality, breaks the open internet policy. And then my third reason is I personally feel like Fios doesn't actually invest in their actual network. They deploy fiber, which when they deployed it, it was ahead of its time. It's still ahead of its time to a certain extent. But once they deploy it, they completely forget about it. When was the last time you heard about Fios actually upgrading their speeds since they've deployed it?
They don't. They do not. They set the fiber, they set the speed, they charge you a fee. Call us if you ever get an outage. And that's really it.
So I personally wish Fios would just sell it off, because I feel like they'll have these moments where they're like, yeah, we're an ISP, and they start expanding, and they're going to go dead, just completely dead. Like, they just stop. I would rather see it in the hands of someone like Google, who truly believes in the open internet, has frequently been doing upgrades.
Dennis, did you just mute?
No, am I not? I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I am not muted. Can you hear me?
You guys able to hear Dennis? Let me get a Dennis right now. Do a sound check, Dennis.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Sound check. Sound check. They can hear me.
We can't hear. Oh, it's me? Okay, hold on. Okay. My sound just went out. Hold on.
Okay.
Dennis, go ahead.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me? Two phones. I appreciate
Again, Dennis,
you.
one more.
Yeah, talking. I'm talking.
I think mine. 1 second.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I would play some smooth jazz music while you were waiting, but we'll give it a second here.
Dennis, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
But what was I saying last week?
I don't know what happened to my connection. I have no idea what happened.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say?
I don't know. It was right around the time we were talking about how Verizon wasn't doing anything and upgrading their service.
Okay, I was saying look at Google, for example, right? Google in these last couple of years has now started offering 2 gigabit per second service to their customers, right? I know we don't need 2 gigabits. I'm not saying that people need it, but it's an option available to them.
Especially since companies are starting to monetize the fiber speed. Altice is going to put 10 gigabits per second everywhere Fios is. So basically, I mean, think about it, Dennis. What is Fios charging for gigabit speed now?
$90 without the promos that they sometimes offer, because it varies by area, but $90.
Do you think Altice comes in at 150
for what kind of speed?
2 gig symmetrical, 10 gig symmetrical?
Hell no. 10 gig, they're going to charge 300.
300.
Easy.
Okay.
They might offer a gig for this pricing that Fios charges, and maybe they offer 2 gig for like 150. But 10 gig, they're definitely charging 300 or better.
Because that's enterprise grade. That's business grade, right?
10 gig is enterprise all day. Hell, even 2 gig could be considered enterprise grade.
I agree. Word on the street is AT&T is looking into multi-gig speed. Don't tell anybody I told you guys.
Well, I already knew that. The only person,
I think it's about to, I think it's really about to materialize, because if you think about it, their fiber footprint is expanding really fast. They just got the deal with Corning. They've built a facility just for AT&T for fiber production. It makes sense though, right, Dennis? They're building out their 5G network. They're adding more sites. They're gonna do more fiber to home. They know they can win in every market they put fiber. That's what I would do. I'd like a facility building me fiber, and whatever excess AT&T is not going to utilize, Corning can't find a buyer. Look at all the infrastructure dollars that are coming out there. Providers can't wait to deploy fiber.
Oh, and what I was saying to you about Verizon is they'll get into these periods of time where they get motivated to deploy, but I guarantee you in like a year from now, they're going to
money runs dry and then they're gone. Right, they're not going to deploy. I think it's going to be all these providers, Dennis.
I disagree.
You think they'll go beyond the infrastructure dollars?
Oh, no, I don't think that. No, I'm sorry. I thought you meant like, well, here, okay, this is what I think happens. You ready? If we get another, let's call it corporate-friendly government in place, I could see another large merger happen amongst big cable. Big cable, yeah. So what I could see happening is for someone like Comcast, they start consolidating more along the East Coast. So no more Optimum, no more Armstrong Cable, no more Blue Devil, like these little regional providers, no more Service Electric. Like they just get rid of all these little guys. So they basically take full control over the whole like Eastern corridor, with the only exception being like Spectrum still existing in like New York and certain places. Cox, on the topic of Spectrum, I see Cox being bought up by like Spectrum.
Cox is absolute trash,
but Spectrum would acquire them for the customer.
Oh sure. Barry, the facility is in Texas, I believe.
And if you're wondering why I see this consolidation happening, it's because of DOCSIS 4.0. DOCSIS 4.0 is going to be an expensive endeavor because DOCSIS 4.0 inherently requires the cable providers to go to a node plus 0 model, which means running fiber all the way to the node and removing the amps from the network.
And how does that perform?
DOCSIS 4.0, or
you said that upgrade with the fiber to the node.
Oh, so fiber to the node with DOCSIS 4.0, you can get 10 gig symmetrical and latency should be sub 5 milliseconds.
Is that theoretical or is that happening right now?
Real world example, latency should be less than 5 milliseconds. Absolutely. As far as speeds go in a real world setting, like what gets sold to the consumer, I can realistically see 5 gig.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't like cable.
I know how you feel about cable, but
because you know how I feel about the companies.
I know how you feel about the companies, but I feel a little dirty having to defend Comcast. but let's look at the facts, right? Comcast was able to give me above the speed that I bought. We saw that on stream when I had their gigabit.
Sure. Yeah.
I was getting 1400 down, 40 up, and I paid for 1200 by 35, right? My latency was sometimes even better than Fios, and Stetson's latency was even better than mine. He was getting 5 millisecond ping times. Stetson is testing it right now.
He's on that Muni fiber, man.
No. I'm talking about his Comcast connection. He's testing.
He tried the Comcast. That's right.
He got it for free from I don't want to name the name, but Comcast sent him over an Xfinity Mobile iPhone 12 to test, and they gave him the gigabit internet to test.
How'd that work out for him?
It's been doing good. He was able to find out that the data was postpaid when you have a 5G phone. He was able to find out that the ultra wideband doesn't count against the 20 gigabyte cap that's on the plan.
It does not.
Which we were saying that we have a theory that once C-band gets deployed, we have a feeling that it might also not count against the cap since it's technically ultra
because it's all ultra wideband, right? Yeah.
So I mean, it was good, but we're getting off topic. My point that I'm getting at is if we're talking about network performance of what is being sold versus what is delivered, Comcast exceeds what they're saying that they're selling. My experience with Fios, although I would still say it's better because higher uploads are great and it's fiber, is below what they say I should be getting, generally speaking. It's not.
Is it their equipment?
Because of their network. They don't invest in the network, right? Like Comcast, I see Comcast trucks all the time.
Doing work, improving,
tearing up roads.
Mm-hmm.
Verizon trucks do not exist. Okay, Verizon trucks do not exist.
You just don't see them, right? You've been there for years. You've been using the service. Yeah.
I've been here for less than a year, but
you've been in the market where Fios is served.
Oh yes. I've existed in the market.
You see the Spectrum trucks everywhere. You don't see the Verizon trucks.
Comcast trucks. Spectrum's not here, but yes. But my point being is that I have faith in that cable companies will do things that make sense for profits, and cable companies know that they need to upgrade their services anyway if they want to continue making profits, because if they don't, that's when regulatory scrutiny becomes a thing, right? That's when you start hearing talks about municipal options popping up because Comcast isn't doing a good enough job. I'm not saying they have to be the best, but they walk that fine line, right? Of how much can they screw you,
just
and how much
enough.
can they appease you, right?
Just enough to keep the monkeys off their back.
Exactly.
Big
And
shout out to Kim.
and plus, also, I will just say, we see in the quarterly earnings calls that Comcast has been making key milestones. Like they got the virtualized CMTS, right? They got that deployed. They're actually ahead of Fios in certain aspects. Like Fios doesn't have support for IPv6 yet. Comcast does.
Really?
Yeah, that's a fun fact.
Huh. Not fun for those on the enterprise side and the business side.
Not fun, but point being is that Comcast, despite their other issues from like a service level standpoint, has a very robust network with a very rich set of features, especially if we're talking about business and enterprise user needs.
Wait, what is this truck? Josh sent me. First of all, big shout out to Kim Jong-uni, the 1999 super chat. Dish Wireless just added 5G macro site to Central Texas. Colleen Fort Hood sent pics to your email. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to check those out. I'm going to probably make a video on this. I can't wait to see him because the only person who's actually sent me legitimate photos has been Carlos. Carlos has sent me tons of the upgrades, which is awesome because I know a lot of people have doubts and, is Dish really doing this and stuff like that. So, looking at the trucks. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up.
Peter, I know you're just busting my chops.
All right, let me do a screen share real quick. I'm gonna put
also,
this up.
PA Tech, DM me because I don't know what pics you want me to show them. But
where is this Chrome tab? I forget how to do this, man. Where is it? There we go. Twitter. All right, there it is. You guys are able to see that, hopefully. Let me go ahead and get rid of the comment and put this up. All right, so this is what Josh wanted me to share. Can we zoom in on this thing? No? Dang. Twitter? Anyways, there's your Verizon truck, Dennis, doing fiber.
I see.
There you go. Oh, ye of little faith.
I'm running a speed test right now. In the best case scenario, this is directly to a Verizon server in Pittsburgh that only shows up when you use the actual speed test app downloaded to your computer, not when you do normal speed tests. Here, I'll put it on my screen. Share screen. Yes. Yes.
Okay, somebody just shared another picture with me.
Here, I just ran a speed
Dish
test.
site. Which rack is that, Ethan? That looks like what is it, the bottom one or the middle one? There's no way it's the top one. The top one looks like AT&T. Let me do a screen share here.
I'm sharing mine as well. It's just me running a speed test.
Okay, so here's this site. He says this is Dish. Oh, it's the bottom one. Okay, because you could see that there's not much gear up there. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. All right, so you got AT&T here at the top, I think. This looks like T-Mobile, I think, because those look like the N41 gear. So I would assume that this bottom part here is the AWS, 600 megahertz. And where's the CBRS, though? Should be CBRS and then whatever else they're going to be doing. All right, there we go. All right, good stuff.
If you want to share my screen, this is actually a really good speed test result.
This is us.
Yes, this is us. Well, it's supposed to be the speed test I'm showing. Here, I'll minimize two screens. There we go.
All right.
Now is it better?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, so that's a healthy speed test. This is to a Verizon. This is actually the speed test server that the Verizon cell phone service likes to connect to. It only shows up when I download the app, but this is much better ping. This is good. But if I connect to a different server, like a Comcast server, which is actually closer, the ping is 20 milliseconds because that goes back to the peering agreements I told you about. But as far as speed goes, like this is good. Like I'm not complaining about this. I wouldn't notice that this isn't full gigabit. Right?
720 by 7 whatever.
Yeah, like I wouldn't notice that this isn't full.
So
gigabit.
Dennis, is this wireless or is this by cable? Are you
This
on
is
Ethernet?
hardwired.
It's hardwired?
Yeah.
So they're not giving you the 9 whatever.
I mean, I'll see it sometimes, maybe if it's like 2 a.m. But...
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, despite what people think, Fios, to a very similar extent, operates a lot like cable in that there is a node that they have maybe 16 houses connected to in the GPON standard. And GPON, if memory serves me correctly, has 2.5 gigabits per second for download bandwidth and 1.5 gigabits per second for upload bandwidth per node.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sharing that across, let's just say, 16 homes. So if it's busy times of day, it's going to be slower. If it's non-peak hours, it's going to be faster. My neighborhood is a very young neighborhood with
like
very
newly built, newly constructed.
Right, but I'm talking about the actual population in my little community is very young. It's people my age or just recently married couples. So
they want that gigablast.
That, and also, you know, it's Pittsburgh, which despite what people think, Pittsburgh is actually somewhat of a tech hub.
It is. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are like engineers coding and they're working from home. It's not a place where it's not your mom and pop just browsing Facebook. They're doing like real internet things. My hypothesis is just simply that people are using the internet, which they should, but Fios didn't deploy their network in a way that could handle such a demand. They used just old school GPON, right? Normal GPON, and they oversubscribed the neighborhood to the node.
All right, Carlos just sent over some more gear pictures for Dish. Let's take a look at what Mr. Carlos sent over. Oh, he's got a beautiful picture. This, because he's so freaking close to the site. This is what I'm talking about, man. Sheesh, Los, you got so close on this one. Plus, you know, Carlos has the freaking, he's got the drone, dude.
Dude, Fios, or Carlos has everything. Carlos has CenturyLink, Fios, the millimeter wave provider that's offering gigabit. He's got really good networking all across the board.
All right, so that looks like T-Mobile in the middle. That's either, what is that, AT&T with C-band at the top? And I think that's the, that's all that JMA gear, it's all that Dish at the bottom.
Sneed, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you have Dish access yet?
No.
Darn.
No.
Have you seen any Dish towers going up in your area?
Nothing. Not at all. Oh, the top is old Sprint. So that means that's an old Band 41. That's the old Band 41 gear. So that's the old stuff when they first started deploying it. Yeah, man, I haven't seen any Dish stuff. I haven't really seen any C-band. It's been all CBRS. You know? It's been all CBRS.
I was told by you, wasn't it, that you said Dish was supposed to be deploying in my market, right?
They're targeting all the football markets.
Okay.
So if you got an NFL team, you're supposed to be getting Dish soon. Which is, it makes sense, right? Those are the most populated cities in the country, right? If you're trying to reach 70% of the U.S., you've got to hit those spots. You know, you've got to get the top 50 PAs done.
Hey, speaking of fiber, man, what's going on with your fiber?
It's done.
You have it yet?
It's, well, all the stuff at the, where they've dug, that's all done. That means they have to run a line to the house and splice, and that's it. Then so it can be activated. A little birdie has told me I'm probably a week away.
Sneed, when you get it, you're going to cry tears of joy.
And I'm going to live stream right away.
Listen, AT&T fiber.
So Dennis, let me ask you something. Yeah. How should I have them run it? Should I just have them put it in through where the old coax is?
Where are you spending most of your time?
I'm in the lower level. I'm right here.
Okay. Have them run the ONT then, right where you're at the lower level. And then connect your router just downstairs. That way you can hardwire in your computer.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave your coax alone, to be honest.
My concern is I kind of wanted to run a line to the TV upstairs. I didn't want to go wireless for the TV.
You're getting cable through them?
Who?
AT&T.
No, I'm just gonna do the internet.
Yes,
but I'm talking. So, but okay, so then I'm gonna have to run an Ethernet cable upstairs, and then so I can get it connected to the TV.
Oh, you want to hardwire your TV? Yeah, you would
Yeah.
run an Ethernet cable.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Okay.
I mean,
but
for your
that's
TV,
really it. That's really
you could
it.
just
I'm
use
just
Wi-Fi on your TV, dude.
I know, man. But I don't know. I wanted
Dude,
to.
Dude, here's what you do, man. Get a Ubiquity access point, and just it still requires you running an Ethernet cable. But
Bro, listen, I have the Lambo of routers. I'm about to do an unboxing. It was the last one within 25 states.
Which one did you get? Can you show
I'm gonna do an unboxing. All right, I'm gonna surprise you. We got the freaking Lambo of routers, dog. The Lambo.
Okay. Well, dude, I'm just saying you're gonna
Let's
love
just put it this way. # gift from Moose.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
Well, you're gonna love it. AT&T Fiber is probably the second best in the country, just behind Google Fiber. So I think you'll have a good old time. The only thing that will probably suck is having to use their rental. But
yeah, but Moose is telling me it's 2 gig ready. The gear that they give you.
I like using my own equipment.
Oh, of course. I'm with you.
I mean, I have a Ubiquity Dream Machine Pro, which is not something that a residential customer would ever get from any ISP. So
right.
But
that's one of the things that's the only thing I liked about Cox was I could run my own gear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have to mess with that crap like what Spectrum was doing. They got to give you like 3 boxes, dude. They give you a modem, they give you a router, and then they give you some other freaking network extender that you got to plug in. Like, it's horrible, dude. It's just a bunch of crap. Really, you know what most people should probably do?
What's that?
People go ahead and get your own modem, get your own router, and then if you're going to do like multiple access points or a mesh system, because some people have like freaking 2,500, 3,000 square foot homes. You know,
I mean, I am generally of the proponent that buying your own stuff tends to be better.
It works better
because you have more control over it. That being said, it is highly dependent on who you're using. Because I'm going to use an example real quick. Armstrong Cable, they only have 3 modems that you're allowed to buy and use on their network. And
they tell you which models they are?
Yep. So, like, in that scenario, there's not a point. Plus, Armstrong gives you the modem for free anyway, so it's not like you're saving money. Xfinity, their gateways aren't bad. And also, Xfinity, if you need unlimited data, it's actually cheaper to rent their stuff because they charge $25 for you to get their modem rental and unlimited data, or you pay $30 if you just want to have unlimited data with your own equipment. So for someone like,
I always used to use the Motorola gear. It was always the best.
I have an Aris Surfboard S33 just sitting unplugged. That was the modem that I was using with Comcast.
How was it?
It was solid. I mean,
yeah.
The problem is, here's one thing too that I want to mention. When you use your own stuff, I'm not saying you have to be a tech guru, but you have to know what you're doing to a small extent, because if you do have a problem, your ISP is going to literally be useless and blame it on you.
Yep. They're going to say, hey, buy our stuff. We'll make it all work. You know?
Well, Fios is the same way. Like when I was in my internet problems, they were like, hey, our speed test to your Fios router says it's fine. You know, even the Fios router is literally unplugged, mind you. It's fine. It looks fine. But anyway, point being is the scoop is this: if you like plug and play and you like life easy, just use as long as it's not utter trash, just use the rental. But if you have a larger home, buy your own stuff, get some access points, make yourself a mesh network. If you're a nerd, if you're doing things that are above the average person's use case, use your own stuff. That is generally the approach, and people generally know which camp they fall into, right? And the reason why I'm saying all that is because, like, I know people that go into Best Buy, for example, and they'll buy like a DOCSIS 3.0 modem that's like $80 off the bargain bin shelf, right, to save $1, and they'll cry about their internet not working proper because it's a really bad modem, right? So if you're going to go out and buy your own stuff, like go in there knowing that you're going to be spending a decent amount of money, but you're doing it because you want to save money in the long term and you want good performance. Don't buy like something cheap. Like Steed, I'm sure that router you got is probably a nice router, like $300, right?
More.
Oh God, more than 300. Okay.
It's the Lambo. All right. Hashtag Lambo.
Is it made by Ubiquity?
No.
Is it made by a company that generally sells enterprise grade equipment?
Yes.
Is it Cisco?
No.
Is it
Dennis? I'm literally unboxing it tomorrow.
okay?
All right. Be there or be square.
Okay. Well, you can at least say the manufacturer.
No, because I'm not giving stuff away. I want it to be a surprise. Hashtag gift from Moose.
Okay.
All right. So.
Well, I'm excited for you to get fiber, man. I think it's going to be huge. Are you going to end up still using your Verizon and Los internet home access, or are you just going to rely on the fiber after this?
I might, dude. I might. I love Los, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stay supporting the homie. So what's wrong with having a little redundancy just in case? You know, let's see how it plays out. Let's keep the service on the back end. Maybe I'll run one of the TVs or I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just connect well, first I want to try the home security system on the fiber first. I want to see how that goes. If it makes no difference in the outcome, I'll just put the Los Mobile back on it, give it a dedicated connection, and then you have a fallback.
I'd put the security on your fiber connection just because the fallback is already if you have a fairly recent security system, it should already have a cell phone fallback.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll see.
Here's a question for you though: how much was the AT&T going to run you? What kind of promo did you get?
$65 for
how long?
Speed for the first year.
And then what does it go up to?
I think they go up $10. That's
it?
Yeah.
That's cheaper than Fios.
Yeah, Fios is as much as I like the Verizon wireless side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Fios feels disconnected from the fiber reality. Because I see pricing and fiber getting better. I see speeds getting better. I see performance getting better. And Fios has kind of like been the same.
Well, Fios raised their prices this year.
Yeah, they went up like $10. You know.
Now I'm paying $75 for now because I'm grandfathered in on my old promo that I signed up for. But still, that's actually still more expensive than say CenturyLink. $65 for life for gigabit from CenturyLink, and $65 for you is what you're paying right now. So,
yeah, I'm probably gonna do that, Barry. Probably build it into the router as like a bridge connection of some sort.
That's what I was doing when I had Comcast. I had Comcast up as a failover on my secondary WAN port.
Yeah, I'll probably do something like that. Me and Pete will figure it out, or maybe I'll get Dennis and we'll do it live.
Man, it's hard to believe how quickly time flies. It's hard to believe I haven't been on the show and I don't even know how long. It's hard to believe there's 78 eyeballs just watching us talk.
I know sometimes we just drift and we keep going. Let's go ahead and close out the show though, Dennis. I know you probably got some things planned for tomorrow. We don't want to keep you on too long.
Nothing really. For the first time in 2 years, I have weekends fully off. So,
which is crazy, man. You're just moving up in the world. You're getting weekends off now. You're making big time bucks, man. You're the homie now. You're the
not big time bucks yet. Got to get out of training. But before we close it out, can I just do a shameless plug?
Oh no, it's not shameless. Go ahead and do your plug, man.
All right, so everybody that's here, I don't know if you guys know me, but I'm from the Best Phone Plans channel. I do shows all the time with Stetson Doggett. We made a new channel. It's literally called Best Phone Plans. If you guys can go there and like and subscribe, we're on a mission to get that channel to over 1,000 subscribers so we can start monetizing on it. And we have a fantastic Patreon that is lively with an awesome Discord. And as part of that Patreon, you do get a discount off on Los Mobile, thanks to Carlos being so kind. So if you have the time and you really enjoyed our conversation, please check out the channel. We just did a video upload today of the podcast that I thought was extra spicy and delicious. And there's plenty of times where Sneed was on the channel as well. So please go check it out. That is Best Phone Plans on YouTube.
Mods, if I can get a link to the Best Phone Plans channel, if we can just get a link there. And then whoever's here watching in the live or on replay, You guys can go ahead and subscribe to that and watch that content. I make my way over there occasionally. The guys invite me on. It's a great channel. You guys have a great show. I enjoy it very much. I'm always in the live chat. I freaking love it there. In fact, a lot of our community members spill over. Some of the same familiar faces we see between the different, channels. It's very nice.
Peter, DM me after this, man. We'll talk. I got you.
That's right. We get the bearded dragon to do his time, man. No. All right, Dennis. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Big shout out to the mods. Thank you. Hashtag mod squad. Hashtag replay crew for those watching on replay. Hashtag 2Live crew for those of you watching this at the time of the broadcast on November 12th, 2021. And hashtag ravioli gang for those of you eating dinner or snacking right now. Appreciate you guys as well. And what are we going to do for the show? Let's do, if you watch this all the way through and you're a real one, let's hashtag SMT Podcast. Let's go ahead and do that. And that should be good enough. I'm probably going to do a follow-up Twitter space. If you guys want to hang out, I'll probably just give up the co-hosting duties to someone and just let you guys chat it up and get your words in, and that's it. We'll just ride out like that.
I can pop in.
Let's do it, man. Big shout out to everybody who offered a super chat dono. Unfortunately, I can only see the most recent ones. So Kim Jong Uni, appreciate your super chat. Man, I think Mark had a super chat. We saw Anwar had a super chat. Thank you guys for those. RFK Tech with the mega super chat. We appreciate you very much. Thank you for all that you do for the channel. Thanks for your support, man, through all these times. There may have been some other ones. I'm not sure if it's going to let me see it. Hold on. Maybe. Barry, early on in the show. Mark, John, and there was one more. I think it was Alex. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Dennis, I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you, man.
No worries, man. I'm always glad to be here.
Thank you. We're going to start a Twitter Spaces. Follow me on Twitter @SneedTech. Me and Dennis will be over there chatting it up. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.